Margo Fisher, Teaneck. Last month, the council announced with a certain amount of pomp and circumstance that Mayor Hamidudin had received a recognition for his volunteer work at the Whittier School. And since then, I've gotten an earful from public school supporters who want to know why in the world someone who played an active role in slashing the school budget 2 years ago could possibly deserve an honor from the Board of Education. So I'm here tonight first to defend that the mayor actually deserved to get his apple pin, and second to honor two other council members, Lizette Parker and Barbara Toffler, for their work on behalf of our students. So to start with the mayor, I'd like to remind the public of two facts. Yes, Mr. Hamidudin was one of the 4 councilmen, and it was all the men, who voted to cut the school budget by $6.1 million in 2010. But in his defense, I trust that he believed that he was merely acting on the will of the people, who had just defeated the proposed budget at the polls. Also, to give the mayor the benefit of the doubt, he probably had no idea of the extent of permanent, significant damage that cut would do to the schools. In fact, throughout the hearing, the councilman who voted for the cut said repeatedly that they had no idea what it was that they were cutting, but that they were going to cut it anyhow. So, parenthetically, this is why we need better communication between the Board of Education and the council, and it's one of the many reasons that I'm supporting current board member Henry Pruitt in his bid for a seat on the council. But that's a digression. The point is that whatever happens to our budget, the Board of Education still has its mission, which is to educate our children. Which brings me to my second point about why the mayor deserved his apple pin. Volunteers are essential to the operation of any school, public or private, and we welcome and are grateful for all the many people who help us with their time, talents, and sometimes even money. The mayor has done his part as an elected official who has an obligation to represent the township and the schools. So why should the board not honor him, just as we have honored more than 150 other residents and even non-residents who have volunteered in our schools this past year alone? Now, in closing, and I'm sorry for taking up so much time, but just one more minute, I want to very briefly bring special attention to 2 other council people. Councilwomen Parker and Toffler have truly distinguished themselves and brought honor to the council by their tireless mentorship of our high school students. Earlier this month, they were singled out along with Scott Pleasance for their invaluable work by the Board of Education. The mission of the public schools is to do more than simply cram children's heads full of a bunch of facts. It is to help them develop into productive, engaged citizens who will shape the community we will all inhabit in a few short years, and I think we've all heard how important that is. These 2 women have made a meaningful and lasting contribution to that effort by taking advantage of their roles, both as elected officials and as private citizens, to model true leadership and to help instill the values of service and civic engagement to our young people. I'm disappointed, actually I'm disturbed, that the council chose not to acknowledge their accomplishments tonight, especially after making so much of Mayor Hamidudin's receipt of a golden apple pin last month in advance of the election. But I trust that their acknowledgments will be forthcoming at some meeting after the May 8th election has taken place. Thank you.